Welcome to the 707, a weekly half-hour program produced by KRCB, a service of NorCal Public Media. The 707 features voices and stories from your community, stories that inspire, stories that explore innovations, and stories that show how we are connected to each other. I'm your host, Michelle Marquis, and I'm a space nerd. To be honest, I'm a nerd in a lot of ways, but watching New Hope when I was 4.5 years old was transformative for me, as it was for an entire generation of little kids. We played Star Wars all summer long with the neighborhood kids, wielding our homemade tinfoil lightsabers. Our favorite was the trash compactor scene, and I played Luke, of course.
I'm Luke Skywalker, and I'm here to rescue you.
I also played C-3PO.
I'm gonna regret this.
From that point on, space always represented limitless adventure. When I found out about NASA and astronauts, people who actually went to space, it was yet another thing to geek out on. What is space really like? What kind of science were they coming up with to send spaceships into orbit? The people at NASA are the real space heroes, and today on the 707, we'll learn about new technologies being developed by NASA researchers that have applications here on Earth to help first responders during emergencies.
I'm Carol, and I'm the Deputy Associate Administrator for the Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate at NASA in Washington, D.C.
I'm Ming Xue. I'm the project manager for a project called ASERO, Advanced Capability for Emergency Response Operations, on the ARMD. I'm at the NASA Ames Center in California, Silicon Valley.
NASA's Carol and Dr. Min Xue are talking with me about a test performed in March this year at a remote spot in Salinas, a town in California's Monterey County. They tested a prototype of a system that will essentially allow emergency responders to set up their own air traffic control system in remote areas or places with low visibility.
We encourage our researchers to think about how they might apply the work they're currently doing in new and different ways for the benefit of all. And so years ago, some of our researchers who were working air traffic management tools looked at this problem and realized that we will be having all of these drone capabilities as well as remotely piloted aircraft capabilities, and that they could be applied to respond to disasters or emergencies. And we could help create a safe airspace for the folks that are responding to these various emergencies. And that's why the ASERO name is emergency response, because it's not just intended for wildland fire, although that's the work we're doing right now. But imagine you've got a hurricane and you've got flooding and you're trying to both search and rescue for people or deliver supplies. You've got a similar kind of airspace challenge where you want to be able to safely operate drones, remotely piloted aircraft, and piloted aircraft, both traditional helicopters and airplanes, so that you can do all of these functions safely in an airspace. Our researchers living here in Northern California, we deal with the issues of wildland fire. And so they got very passionate about what could we do to help with the wildland fire. And with your being from Sonoma, you're well aware, this is unfortunately very close to home and it happens often. And so our researchers actually went out into the field and talked with the firefighters to say, what are some of your challenges with fighting wildland fires? And they discovered that sure enough, if we could figure out a way to help them manage this airspace in a safe way, we could extend the hours in which we fight fires. We could use aircraft in the airspace under degraded visual conditions, so either at night or in smoky conditions, and that these tools would be of great help to the firefighters.
There are lots of acronyms in this conversation, a bit of an alphabet soup. The main ones to remember are ASERO, which stands for Advanced Capability for Emergency Response Operations. And the next acronym refers to the tech developed under this program, PAMS, or Portable Airspace Management System, basically an air traffic control unit in a box. Dr. Xue says this technology sprang from previous work NASA did within the airspace field.
In the past 10 years, with all the knowledge we learned from air traffic management when we helped airlines, we actually started the traffic management concept for drone operations. We call it UTM.
Another acronym, UTM, stands for Unmanned Traffic Management. Think of UTM as a way to organize drones. Dr. Shua says this system eliminates the need for an air traffic controller.
It's a complete paradigm shift, but similar concept can be used to support firefighters. That's where we're passionate. Finally, we can see our expertise can help address national urgent needs. So there are a lot of challenges, right? How do you address this limited communication problem? You don't have a cellular data, you don't have internet. And also a big challenge firefighters they're facing is traffic management are very manual. So we have air tactical group supervisor who is flying in a fixed wing aircraft during the daytime when the visibility is high. They monitor. Once the visibility is low, let's say a smoky day or nighttime, so they have to ground up most of the aerial operations.
He says up until now, it has also been hard for drone operators to scale up and manage multiple drones at once. Carol says the team tested the new system during simulations in a remote part of Monterey County in March.
It was intentionally chosen because it's a mountainous region with no cell phone coverage and no visibility, right? You can't see what's over the next canyon, whether that be the line of advancing fire or other aircraft. And so it was a great way to get our technology in the field and actually put it to the test with the firefighters. So I had the privilege of being out there and getting to see the CAL FIRE folks sit next to our researchers looking at the screen of this portable air traffic management system, which Min can tell you about. When they call it PAMS, they were able to give real-time feedback. If this is above 10,000 feet, I need this kind of information. Below 10,000 feet, I need this kind of information. And the only way to really develop technology that's useful to the operator is to get the operator's input early and often. And so this field demonstration allowed that to happen, as well as allowing us to bring in the resources, other drones, other technologies, a communications aircraft to provide communications so that the vehicles could talk to each other in this very rugged region of California.
Dr. Shua says that a drone flying high above the area provides internet so that PAMS can track all the drones and other aircraft in the airspace. These drones can be used in a multitude of ways.
They can use drone for aerial ignition, right? So they use drone for remote sensing. They use drone for logistics support. And they use drone even for like a suppression. There are a lot of great ideas, but all depend on can you enable in a scalable fashion. This portable airspace management system can allow them to launch many drones or mixed with a crewed aircraft together.
While PAMS is not using artificial intelligence, Dr. Shua says he does see that happening in the future. AI could help analyze the overwhelming amount of data that the fleet of drones collect, everything from wind speeds to real-time high-res fire lines to helping firefighters strategize the best line of attack on a fire.
Wow, it's so exciting. Oh my gosh, I'm thinking about all of the times here in Sonoma County where we've had fires raging overnight and people scared and airplanes not being able to go and do anything and just having to dread and hope through the night that your homes and people will be safe. And to have this kind of thing available, like you said, it's game changer, but it's like, it's so emotionally charged too. Like there's so much in this.
Absolutely.
We're sending a lot of proposals to our leadership, right? So, sorry if I talk too much, too excited about the future steps.
Yeah, we know it's really exciting to our researchers. You can hear it, right? To be able to apply our technology to something that has such public good, and not just in California, right? Wildfires are a problem in most states. We want to develop this technology, test it in the field, get it to the point where industry can develop it and use it. That's really exciting to our researchers.
The tests done in March are the first of 4, and they'll happen every 18 months with increased capabilities at each test. CAL FIRE personnel were able to train on the interface and learn how to use PAMS in the field. Considering the amount of time already spent working on airspace management leading up to the Acero program, I asked Dr. Shua and Carol how much this effort cost NASA and why they spend so much on something that doesn't involve space exploration.
NASA develops the technology to give to industry. Our job is to enable industry. And in the case of this application of taking NASA technology and applying it to emergency response, whether it's wildfires or hurricane recovery or others, that's our job. It's in the NASA Space Act for us to develop technology that benefits the United States. That isn't getting us to space, but the aeronautics job is to benefit the public good and to benefit industry.
Each case is about just from the lab. This is a lab product, right? So right now it's like 20K for each boxes. That's like hard way of putting together, not to mention a lot of labor behind that, right? So labor in terms of project budget, we are very small. I don't know, can we share the budget level of our project? Yeah.
It's public, yeah.
Yeah, so we are actually, this year is about around 10 million. It's very limited, but I'm proud our team can put things together.
For comparison, the 2025 Los Angeles fires cost an estimated $250 billion in destroyed homes, rising insurance premiums, wage losses, and more, according to the LA Times. A $10 million budget for this technology is a tiny percentage of that. In the next segment of the 707, we'll talk science and nerd out with CAL FIRE about innovation and collaborating with NASA. I'm Michelle Marquis, and you're listening to KRCB.
KRCB is Sonoma County's NPR station, celebrating Sonoma County by featuring the voices, sounds, and culture that make our home unique. From the heartwarming tales of postcards, where residents share their perspectives.
It's been a wonderful day here at the Gramercy Apple Fair.
To the Arts Brief series, shining a spotlight on the incredible youth in the arts scene.
My full name is June Zelda Grable, and I'm working with a theater for children on a production of Beauty and the Beast.
And Farm Tales, with the latest from local farmers, celebrating happenings on their farms and trends in California agriculture.
Our farm is called Monte Bellaria, which means Mountain of Good Air in Italian. We now have more than 9 acres planted of lavender, about 35,000 plants.
KRCB is a journey into Sonoma County. This is more than radio. This is the voice of your community. Your stories, your station. KRCB 104.9, Sonoma County's NPR station.
Welcome back to the 707 on KRCB. I'm your host, Michelle Marquis, and I'm still flying high, pun intended, after my conversation with NASA's Carol Carroll and Dr. Min Zhu. This is my life now. I talk to people at NASA. The little kid in me who pretended to be C-3PO in the backyard with her friends would be giddy about it.
We're doomed.
So CAL FIRE loves acronyms as much as NASA does. For a refresher, ACERO is the Advanced Capability for Emergency Response Operations project from NASA, which is building this drone system technology. There are multiple acronyms for drones, but one you'll hear today is UAS, which stands for Unmanned Aircraft Systems. Innovations aren't just reserved for NASA. CAL FIRE has an Office of Wildfire Technology Research and Development.
The office, it's relatively new, been around for 2 years, and we sort of function as a central organizing hub for emerging technology in the wildfire space. There's a lot of great innovation that's been going on and continues to go on, only quite often it was siloed. You had the innovators in one silo and the end users in another silo. The end users weren't communicating with the innovators to let them know a product that's actually needed and desired and how it'd be beneficial. So what we do is we bring people together, like with the NASA ACERO program, so that innovation can be done in a more meaningful and efficient manner by, from the start, having the end users, firefighters, work with the innovators so that it can, again, be developed in a more efficient manner.
I'm talking with Marcus Hernandez, Deputy Chief at CAL FIRE's Office of Wildfire Technology Research and Development. In March, he joined other members of CAL FIRE, NASA researchers, and fire chiefs from the California Department of Forestry in the foothills of the Sierra de Salinas Mountains in Monterey County, California.
We've been working with the NASA ACERO team for probably just under 2 years. And this was the first phase, a technology capability level of a multi-year approach to increase aviation capabilities for crewed and uncrewed aircraft in an emergency incident space, primarily wildfires, but keys elsewhere. And we've been working with our Tactical Air Operations UAS team, who was there on site, and to finally see the first phase come to fruition. So what we did was we utilized various uncrewed aerial systems, or drones as they're commonly known, had increased awareness of basically the airspace that each aircraft would own in a three-dimensional manner. So for instance, a three-dimensional cube would be owned by one aircraft and another one would be owned by another aircraft. So we had awareness of where each one was and also notifications of if there was conflict of who was going to be operating which airspace.
NASA shared video from the test showing drones and other uncrewed aircraft taking off vertically from various spots around the mountains and people operating the system from something about the size of a suitcase. So how would CAL FIRE practically use a portable airspace management system, or PAMS, in the field?
It potentially in the future allows for more utilization of uncrewed aerial systems and also more utilization of crewed and uncrewed aircraft in a more harmonious manner. Right now, you like to have them separated. Our crewed aircraft drop a lot more water, have a lot more capabilities than the uncrewed aircraft or the drones, but it's always good to have more. So it's making steps forward to allow more aviation activity and more harmony and safety in the future once it's fully developed.
Hernandez says along with innovation, there are other factors to consider and plan for.
As technology develops, first you have to make sure that technology is needed, it's effective, you have to make sure it's safe. And as you're doing that, or after you need to do all that, you need to make sure it meets regulatory requirements. So that's what's great about the NASA Acero team. They're both working on the technology, the required safety factors, but also engaging with the FAA at an early moment so that all of them can cross the finish line at the same time.
What about low visibility? Would CAL FIRE use drones at night or in smoky conditions?
So we're adding additional capabilities during the nighttime. We can fly some of our aircraft during the night. It would potentially add further capabilities there. We don't fly directly into the smoke. The fire is burning on the perimeter of the smoke for the most part if the column's going straight up. So we're operating in an area that's not completely obstructed by smoke. But in theory, if the smoke column were to come over or smoke were really obstructing area outside the fire line, it could potentially add additional capabilities to operate in those conditions as well.
CAL FIRE has been involved in the development of this technology for 2 years, and Hernandez says NASA's response to suggestions has been wonderful.
Oh, they're great. They're great. And that's what's great about it. It's Min and PK who are heading up this NASA Acero program, and they understand that technology developed in a vacuum is not the most efficient. And like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to develop a solution that is then looking for a problem to solve. From the start, they're saying we want to develop a solution and we need to understand the problem, not even know about it. We need to understand it. So they are always engaged, very receptive, because they want to make the best use of the technology that they're developing.
The CAL FIRE Office of Wildfire Technology Research and Development is relatively new. I asked Hernandez about how artificial intelligence is being used to combat wildfires.
A great example of the AI is another great success, meaningful success in wildfire technology is the Alert California network. It was a network that was already vitally important for situational awareness used by firefighters every day. In 2023, we added the smoke detection capability via AI. And what's important about AI usage is, especially with that scenario, for smoke detection of potential fires, it allowed to have a human in the loop. So there's thousands of those cameras throughout the state. It would be very hard for humans to stare at screens for hours at a time, even if it was 4 screens, let alone 1,000. So the AI assists by saying, hey, I think this is a smoke column from a fire, notifies the human, which is the human in the loop, and the human can say, yep, fire, we're going to dispatch. That's one example of AI, well documented, great success. Another partnership with UC San Diego and CAL FIRE that, again, extreme success. Another example, AI usage, we don't want AI making decisions for us. There's current government regulations because AI is somewhat new. But if you go to our CAL FIRE website, one upgrade we've made in the last year or two, on our homepage, we have automated updates of authoritative information on large incidents. So the public, even though there's many ways to find information, the public still comes to the government and CAL FIRE for their information. So we have updated information that's automated, such as the fire size, the fire perimeter, resources assigned, additional information on our homepage of our website that gets visited millions of times by millions of, I don't want to just say Californians, but people from all over the world visit that website. We've recently added a chatbot functionality to assess people in getting additional information because we want to meet the people where they're at.
He says there are other innovations coming soon that will increase the information available on active wildfires.
Another initiative we're working with that's very promising is the Earth-Fire Alliance and their FireSat constellation. We've been part of that, our office and CAL FIRE as a whole. It's the goal to have 50 low Earth orbit satellites to increase situational awareness, provide additional information. And we launched the first satellite out of Mountain View at Muon Space March 14th of 2025. So that's another up and coming, potentially meaningful advancement in the fire technology space.
And so the Earth Fire Alliance, will that allow people to be seeing fire activity from satellites?
Yes, potentially. We just launched the satellite. We're still waiting to receive our first data from it. It's just a prototype satellite, but it is up there and it's gone beyond a concept. Satellites up in space. Earth Fire Alliance is hoping to launch an additional 3 operational ones next spring. Once it's built out to 50 satellites, updates every 20 minutes. So you'll be able to see that additional information on what's the size of this fire, what's its perimeter.
I knew we'd somehow end up in space at the end of this episode. If all goes according to schedule, NASA's portable airspace management system will be ready by fall 2029. I'm your host and producer of this program, Michelle Marquis. Special thanks to my second cousin Margot for her excellent Star Wars acting. This show is a service of NorCal Public Media. Our president and CEO is Darren Lachelle.